Everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Adorkable Rachel, and it's time once again for another episode of Rachel Reviews, so let's just hop into it. So this weekend, a new film in the Ouija film franchise was just released, of course based on the game released by Hasbro. Yep, believe it or not, a kids game company is responsible for the popularity of this spooky horror game. This movie is a prequel to the 2014 film, and to recap the original film, terrible acting, no chemistry, no personality from the characters, and all around not a very scary movie. Yep, pretty much just forgettable. One of the only things that I remember from that movie is that one of the girls actually kills herself by hanging herself with Christmas lights. Seriously, A for creativity. And that all the kids that I think were supposed to be in high school all looked like they were older than college students. It's like, what the hell? Was this movie originally intended to be made in the 90s or something? But then you go and see this movie, and I gotta tell ya, complete 180 from its predecessor. And I'm sure a lot of that credit goes to director Mack Flanagan, who's already directed a lot of really well-received horror films such as Hush and Oculus. First and foremost, what I loved about this movie is that it takes place in 1967, which is like almost 50 years before the original film takes place. And if you know me, then you know that I love anything and everything that has to do with the 1960s. But it's not just the setting or the clothing or the hairstyles, they actually really go out of their way to make you feel like you're in the 60s. For example, they actually had the original Universal logo, and also throughout the film they constantly had that black dot that's supposed to appear in the corner, you know, when the projectionist is supposed to know when to change the reels. Yeah, remember when they had that before they digitized everything? But in my opinion, if they were gonna go down that route, then why didn't they actually have the picture be less high def or have the cinematography seem more like a 1960s film? But that's just a little minor nitpick as a fan of the 60s. So in Ouija Origin of Evil, we've got a widowed mother and her two daughters, and they put on these fake seances for customers. And while it's clear they're trying to make money off of this, we actually feel some sympathy because the mother makes it clear that they're trying to do this also so they can bring comfort to people who have lost somebody. One day the mom brings home a Ouija board for the business, and then her younger daughter Doris starts playing with it alone, then she starts getting possessed by a demon and everything starts going to hell. Well, shit. Something else that I personally really like about this movie, which they really don't do in the other one, is that they actually take the time to focus on the characters and the relationships that they have with each other. All the actors, in my opinion, were phenomenal in this movie. We really do find out just the right sympathetic information, so we really do care about these girls as a family. Throughout the movie, when we discover all their different struggles, from their financial issues to what the paranormal is doing to them, there really is this underlying hope that things will turn out for the better when everything just starts to go downhill for them. But if you already watched the first movie, then you know that's not gonna happen, so there's also kind of an underlying fear for those of us who are familiar with it. And just a side note, the girl who played Doris, the one who gets possessed, creepy as hell. I know it's a trope that's been used over and over and over again in horror movies where the kid is actually the insanely creepy one, but believe me, there's a reason for that. When kids are taken over by an evil essence in a movie, it not only represents the loss of innocence, but it also kind of blurs the line between who's the victim and who's the monster. And if done right, it's insanely effective. And it's really no surprise that it worked here, because I think not only were the pacing and the build-up really good, but also for a good majority of the movie, she took on two very subtly different personalities, both when she was normal and when she was possessed. There's also a lot of great quiet moments where you get to really absorb the tension and the atmosphere that they created. The jump scares, those are also insanely effective, and they serve the story well. You know, as opposed to the jump scares that are just kind of there to scare you and really don't leave much of an impact. Also, in a strange way, we as the audience start to become comforted by what the spirits are able to do and what they can communicate to them. But then, things start to really legitimately shock you when not only do we find out how they're getting this information, but then also where these spirits came from. I won't spoil it here, but trust me when I say it's actually pretty terrifying. Even if you're not a fan of the original film, it's actually kind of cool to see these two movies connect with each other, especially since this one is specifically a prequel. They really did do a good job of making this feel like it happened prior in the same universe. And keep in mind, you actually do not need to see the original film in order to enjoy this one. I really can't express enough that on its own, this movie holds up insanely well. And yes, I know we've all seen franchises where the second movie is better than the predecessor, but you know what? I can't really think of any where the difference was this far apart. At least from the second one being the good one and the first one being the really shitty one. Seriously, no prior knowledge is needed. If you want to be creeped out, just check out this movie and forget about the other one. Also, just to put it out there, I'm really happy that they didn't go down the cliche route of coming up with a problem that fixes everything and then suddenly it's okay, and then psych! Turns out, no, it's not okay in the end. And don't get me wrong, wrong, that does work in a lot of horror movies, but it's important that they didn't do that here because a lot of us going to see this movie are already familiar with what happens to these characters. No, they did not insult the intelligence of the familiar, they kept it suspenseful enough for the initiated, and they genuinely treated us like we knew what had happened before rather than put in that silly little trope that would just scare the people who are not familiar. Overall, really good job of giving the film some dignity. However, if you are anal retentive like me and you know the two films are connected, then you know what, I actually do have some questions for the film. And these are spoiler type questions, so seriously, just click away if you have yet to see it. Seriously, I'm not gonna judge you, just go see it and come back and look at these questions if you want to and see if you agree with me. And asking these questions, it is possible that I missed something, but seriously, I watched the original Ouija film right before seeing this one, so I think my questions are kind of legit. Here we go. If Doris's mouth was sewn shut at the end to prevent the voices from coming out, then how did Paulina get possessed afterwards? How come the basement and the cellar look nothing like they did in the original film? If Doris's mouth was sewn shut as a ghost in the first movie, then why wasn't it sewn shut when she was a ghost in this movie? I don't really doubt that Paulina was the one that sewed Doris's mouth shut when she originally claimed in the first movie that her mother did it, but if Paulina was the one that did it, then why did she want her sister to be free in the first movie? I mean, did she really go that crazy in 40 plus years? And finally, my last question is, what did you guys think of the film? Well, be sure to let me know what you thought, and if I did miss anything, then go ahead and leave your comments below. Be sure to like and share, and if you're new and like what you saw here, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, please be sure to keep checking back for more Adorkable videos coming out real soon. Bye, Adorkabuddies!